Hi, welcome back. Or if you're new here, welcome. This is somewhat a new series for this year, technically a resurrection of an old series from a few years ago, but I thought bringing it back would be a good way to see how much or how little I can achieve in a week. So even though it's mid-month, I want to start the work with what I did last week, as I had a big burst of energy and painted quite a lot. I painted 9 practice paintings and really focused on learning a couple of things about oil painting, so let me show you. I'm currently doing a master study of Henriette Ronner-Knip for this month. She was a 19th century Dutch-Belgian artist famous for her incredibly beautiful cat paintings. I wanted to understand her process and how she started her paintings. As far as I can tell, she used a loose drawing in lean oil paint first. She probably used turpentine to thin her oil paint for drawing. I personally use Gamsol for this technique. And then I tried to figure out her brushwork from looking closely at her paintings. And these are my attempts at that. I used what I thought might be her own studies and tried my hand at emulating her brushwork. I have a whole video, which is the first one in the Master Study series, where I go through a body of her work and dissect it and try to see if I can work out her techniques. So you can go and have a look at that in its own playlist. She was able to achieve so much with just a few brush strokes, making each one count. It's really incredible to try and understand. And this kitten is where I used a photo reference and tried to transfer what I had learned so far and practice making all those decisions myself. It's cute. I like it. It isn't really what I'm going to be painting the most of going forward, but it's nice to learn a technique and practice it with something. So these two are a direct study of two of her studies as well, and I thought they came out quite well too. I thought I was starting to get a feel for her approach, and I wanted to test it again on another photo reference. I wanted to see if I'd actually learned anything, or am I just copying still? So I braced myself and tried to apply it to a completely fresh subject. This Rottweiler puppy is cute. It's very different. It's a different challenge because with a painting you already have someone else's decisions to guide you. Everything is already figured out. The colour, the value, the shape, the subject, all of that is already mapped out. And with a photo, you're on your own. And I had a lot of trouble with it, honestly. But I think that struggle is really important. And if I keep practicing that and struggling with it, that eventually I will learn the technique myself. And that's the goal. The goal is to be able to learn a technique and apply it to something that I want to paint. Alright, so I like to go to the library and see what books they have on art, and I picked this one up and had a bit of a browse. It had a section on simplification of shapes and values, which is painting really at its most basic and often overlooked. And I know I have a problem with going to details too quickly, so I thought this would be a nice easy exercise to do so I don't get overwhelmed with kittens, as nice as that sounds. So I did the exercise with a photo reference from Pinterest, and this is my simplified value study. I quite enjoyed the process, but looking at it there is still too much detail, but I thought it was alright. So what I did with the leftover black and white paint on my palette was this. I was trying to combine everything I had studied so far and the drawing with thin paint, which is what I already do anyway, so that was fine. The simplification of the subject and values, and then after that I worked on the brush strokes. I did overwork it for the exercise, but I really like how it came out anyway. Don't get me wrong, I did struggle at certain stages, but again, I'm trying to add too much detail. I have to learn patience and how to take things away instead of putting more in. So with that in mind, I went looking for a really stylized landscape painting to copy, one where someone had already done the simplification work for me, so I could feel what it's like to just leave the things out. And this one with the trees was perfect. It's so reduced, and you know what? It was actually easier to paint because of that. So then I tried applying that simplification to my own photo reference, this one, and you can see I still put too much detail in. The painting itself is kind of okay, but the problem was how I was applying my lessons, and this one didn't hit the mark in my opinion. So I did a third one. I knew the water would make it harder, but I wanted to push myself. I don't know, I like to punish myself sometimes. And I think this one came a little bit closer. There are still areas where I just couldn't help myself, but overall it's heading in the right direction. And on top of all that, I did the first session of my Ronner-Knip master copy. The full video of that is already up on my channel if you want to watch the whole process so far. So next week I'll be doing the second painting session on it, and we'll just have to see how far along I can get and how close I can get to her painting. So that was my week, 9 paintings, a lot of learning, and well, actually a theme I didn't think I was going to go into, but due to that library book, I ended up trying to simplify, and simplify some more. Okay, so I will be back next week with more, and I will see you then.